Well, hello and welcome to the order of Monday morning. The Anyway, I hope you had a good weekend. Uh, we've been sort of enjoying as much as we can the Olympics, uh, and it's pretty wild. The thing I enjoy most about the Olympics is the ritualistic openings and closings. Uh, and I have to admit, Paris did a pretty good job of their ceremonials. Uh, anyway, if you get a chance to watch the replays of anything, it was uh, it was a welcome break in an otherwise crazy world. Uh, Today is August 12th, and that is the first in the series of Thelemic holy days, or feast days. Let's say they're feast days. A feast of the first night of the prophet and his bride. And at the time he was channeling that, uh, the prophet Aleister Crowley and his bride, Rose Kelly Crowley, were actually instrumental together. If my reading of the circumstances of the dictation of the Book of the Law is correct, they were writing this Book of the Law together, and perhaps the major portion, at least, of the channeling was being done by Rose. You may even venture to speculate that the vocal cords that were dictating the text of the Book of the Law were those of Rose. She was pregnant at the time, and the whole sequence of events that led up to the dictation started with her saying, "It's all about the child." Okay. But anyway, it is the first feast day mentioned in the Book of the Law. And so it's sort of like the Thelemic Valentine's Day. Okay. Now, Crowley, I didn't think he ever set out to get himself married. In the circumstances of him even meeting Rose was more or less a reaction of him just trying to wash his hands of the whole magical scene. Okay. He was always a pretty magical guy just in and of himself, but he had a sort of a bumpy ride there toward the end of his relationship with the Golden Dawn. And he was just ready to wash his hands of that nonsense and just relax for a while, go off big game hunting or mountain climbing or golfing with his good friend, the artist Gerald Kelly, who was eventually became the president of the Royal Academy up in Scotland, okay, where they loved to golf, and Crowley liked to golf. And he was doing a round of golf with his friend Gerald Kelly, who mentioned that his sister was sort of down in the dumps. She was a widow, a young widow already, who had married sort of for finances, I guess, and her family was pressuring her into yet another marriage with a much older. I believe it was even an American. God forbid. I might be wrong there, but and she didn't want to do it. And she was a frisky gal. She liked to go into London. She had affairs. She was a bit too promiscuous for the family's comfort. That's why they wanted to get her safely married. And she was balking at this newest arranged marriage. And Gerald was telling Crowley about this over a round of golf. And Crowley, just seemingly not having anything else to do, said, "Well, look, why don't I'll be happy to marry her, and then she can go off and have as many affairs as she wants, and we can sort of part company. But she can be officially married." And in this strange sort of logic of the day, it would be okay. That would be more okay than an unmarried woman being that promiscuous. So Crowley put it to Rose. Well, I'm sure eventually he did, but he discussed it with her, and he said, "Look, I'm I don't know if he actually used the term, but I'm bisexual, or I'm omnisexual, and I won't be a problem. I'm not even sure I'm into women that much. So yeah, I'll be a good husband to you if you want to be frisky like that." And so they got married, okay, and on their which was kind of hard to do on the spur of the moment in Scotland, where they had bands and things like that. But they arranged it, and they found the equivalent of a justice of the peace, or a judge, or something that could cut through the red tape and marry them at a little chapel type thing or something. And they got married. And sort of to read between the lines of Crowley's discussion, they were getting ready to part ways. She going off to London, and Crowley going back to the golf course. Okay, but they had dinner at the hotel in whatever the town in Scotland was, and they had a few drinks and started to look at each other and sort of giggle at the thought of, well, maybe we should at least consummate the marriage. So they got a room, and just while waiting for the train, literally, to come take her away, and they fell in love. I mean, Crowley fell gaga, crazy in love. He says, "Wow, this is the best I've ever had. I think I love this woman." And she fell in love with him too. And that was the first night of the prophet and his bride. And she became his muse. She became just, he saw all divine feminine in this woman, and he's poured out poetry to her. And one of the poems, and please don't worry, I'm not going to read the whole poem to you, because Crowley poems are usually really long. But it's called Rosa Mundi, Rose of the World. Rose of the world, red glory of the secret heart of love, red flame, rose red most subtly cured into its own infinite flower, all flowers above. Its flower in its own perfume passion, its faint, sweet passion folded and furled in flower fashion. and my deep spirit taking its pure part of that voluptuous heart of hidden happiness. Arise, strong bow of the young child Eros, while the maddening moonlight of the memoried caress stolen of the scented rose stirs me and bids each racing pulse ache, ache. Bend into agony of art whose cries ever rapture, whose tears for their own purity's undivided sake are molten dew, as on lotus leaves silver coiled in the sun into green girdled spheres purer than all a maiden's dreams unweaves, lies unutterable beauty of the waters. Yea, arise, divinest love, of the Idalian. Okay, Idalia was the town center, the county seat of the worship of Aphrodite. Okay. Yea, arise, divinest dove of the Idalian, on your crimson wings and soft gray plumes bear me to yon cool shrine of that most softly spoken one, mine Aphrodite. Touch the imperfect strings, O thou immortal throned above the moon. Inspire a holy tune, lighter and lovelier than flowers and wine, offered in gracious gardens unto Pan by any soul of man. If she had a fan, she'd be fanning herself with it. Let's see if I want to just give you one more little verse. I am dumb with rapture of thy loveliness. All meters match and mingle, all words tire, all lights and sounds, all perfumes, all gold stress of honey palate, all soft strokes expire in abject agony of broken sense. To him the emotions tense of somewhat higher, oh, how highest than all their majesty fall, oh, fall, yet unavailing eagle flights of song, O wife, these do thee wrong. Anyway, that's pretty sticky stuff. Okay. But they did fall in love. It was a very important and bright moment in their relationship. And perhaps the most overtly magical aspect of their relationship was when she discovered that she was pregnant when they were on vacation through the Middle East, and they decided to stay in Cairo in the month of February and March, because it's just so damn miserably cold there in near Loch Ness, where Crowley had his home, and which they're rebuilding. They're reconstructing. I mean, it's a restoration of Crowley's Boleskine house near Inverness. But I digress. Anyway, Rose was a talented psychic scryer, just a natural. And for a little while there in March and April of 1904 in Cairo, uh, Crowley and Rose made major magic of a cosmic scale. And they were people, they were humans. Their relationship was complicated by Crowley being Crowley and Rose developing a drinking problem. And so there's a great deal of tragedy in the future of their relationship. But for a bright spot in March and April of 1904, they changed the world. I wrote a poem, a goofy poem. All my poems are goofy, and I read it to you before. But it's just called More Than Balls. Buddha sat down all alone beneath the Bodhi tree and did not get up till he was wise. Well, maybe he wants to pee. Muhammad's cave was very small. There was only room for one. And Jesus prayed alone all night. He was God's only son. Okay. Joseph Smith was by himself when he bumped into Moroni. No one helped him write that book. But he was such a phony. These were men, old Aeon guys. They weren't at all romantic. Some were evil, some insane, and all of them pedantic. But for this age, it took more than balls to show us all what's holy. It took more than I was and Uncle Al. It took Rose Kelly Crowley. That's my little talk for the feast of the first night of the prophet and his bride. I hope you all get lucky today. And until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.